Welcome to the Stress Management webinar presented by the Washington State Employee Assistance Program of the Department of Enterprise Services. I am your host, Matthew Gilbert, licensed marriage and family therapist and employee assistance counselor. Positive and negative stress is a constant influence in all of our lives. The trick is to maximize the positive and to minimize the negative stress. This webinar is designed to give participants a three-option method for addressing any stressful situation, as well as a toolbox of personal skills, including things like using routines, relaxation techniques, and a stress log system. Research has consistently demonstrated that when clear goals are associated with learning, it occurs more easily and rapidly. With that in mind, let's review a few of our goals for today. By the end of this webinar, you should be able to identify the best approach to a stressful situation, understand what lifestyle elements you can change to reduce stress, use routines to reduce stress, use either environmental and/or physical relaxation techniques, better cope with major events, and finally, use a stress log to identify stressors and create a plan to reduce or eliminate them altogether. So let's take a look at what stress is, and let's also explore how stress can be both positive and negative. And then finally, let's take a closer look at what's called the AAA approach that will form the basis of this webinar. The Random House Dictionary defines stress as physical, mental, or emotional strain or tension, and a situation, occurrence, or factor causing this. In fact, the word stress comes from a Latin word meaning distress. Stress can be difficult to pin down because it's a very uniquely individual thing. And for me, public speaking is very stressful, but it may be one of your great joys in life. Remember this during this webinar, since stress is different for everyone, your approach must be personalized as well. Typically, we interpret stress as a negative thing, but it doesn't always have to be that way. Eustress means stress with a positive effect. It was coined by psychologist Richard Lazarus in 1974. How can stress be positive, you ask? Think of the emotional strain caused by these positive events. Winning a race, winning the lottery, being a new parent, riding a roller coaster, or even watching a scary movie. In these situations, the physical, mental, and/or emotional strain actually produces positive emotions rather than the negative emotions usually associated with stress. Without distress or eustress, life would be a pretty boring ride. Let's explore three main ways to approach stress. It's important to remember that you have a choice. You can choose to A, alter the situation or your approach to it, B, avoid the situation, C, accept the situation. But before we explore this approach, however, let's take a look at the foundation of what it would mean to have a low-stress lifestyle. Taken from a Chinese proverb, tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. To begin, let's explore the foundation of a positive, low-stress lifestyle. This foundation is made up of three building blocks: diet, sleep, and exercise. No stress reduction program will be successful in the long term unless you have this solid foundation. For many people, meals have become an afterthought, made up of fast food and frozen items from a box. Most adults know that they should eat, they just don't eat it. In 2010, the Centers for Disease Control in the United States estimated that less than a quarter of adults get their recommended servings of fruits and vegetables each and every day. Sticking to a healthy diet is a key part of managing stress, giving your body the proper fuel you'll need and the energy you'll need to battle the harmful effects of stress. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. Any changes in diet, sleep, and exercise must be lifestyle oriented. There are no quick fixes, and with this in mind, set small goals for yourself. Perhaps this week your goal will be to eat a piece of fruit every day. Or perhaps you'll swap out that lunchtime hamburger for a salad. Remember that progress is very individual. Don't expect yourself to start eating like an Olympic athlete as soon as you make the decision to improve upon your lifestyle. Celebrate each healthy choice that you make. Every time you say no to that bag of chips, or every time you choose vegetables over ice cream, every time you eat a smaller portion. Don't be too hard on yourself when you make an unhealthy choice. Just focus on doing better the next time. Finding time to take care of our bodies is another challenge many of us face. Exercise is an important part of stress reduction for many reasons, including exercise can aid your ability to bounce back and be more resilient. Exercise can help clear your mind, reducing the harmful effects of stress. Exercise allows us to work out strong emotions that can sometimes result from stress, such as anger and frustration. Exercise can also give you time alone to process thoughts and feelings of any stressful situation. If you're having trouble finding the time to exercise, try these tips. Take a walk at lunch. Walk or bike to or from work if possible, and when possible, take the stairs instead of the elevator. You'd be surprised at how many extra calories you burn. When watching television, use commercial breaks to do quick exercises or chores such as crunches, planks, or stretches, or maybe doing some of those dishes. Stand when talking on the phone. This will also help your muscles stretch and prevent muscle tension. Remember, diet, sleep, and exercise are all lifestyle changes. Start slowly, build your commitment steadily, stay positive and focused, and you've got a recipe for success. And the last building block of a healthy lifestyle is sleep. We know it's one more thing that you may not have time for. Trust us, you don't have time not to sleep. In fact, here are some scary statistics taken from a 2010 Sleep in America poll performed by the National Sleep Foundation. Only 43% of adults stated that they had a good night's sleep almost every night. Only 25% say they had a good night's sleep a few nights a week. The average person needs 7 hours and 18 minutes for a good night's sleep, but receives only 6 hours and 40 minutes. And even though that doesn't sound like a big difference, over the course of the year, that's nearly 230 hours of sleep debt. 28% of adults stated that sleepiness interfered with their daily activities at least a few days a month. 5% reported it does so almost every day. And about a quarter of adults have driven while drowsy. So try these tips to help you get a good night's sleep. Use your bed just for sleeping, not for reading, watching TV, or working, etc. And likewise, try to sleep just in your bed, not on the couch or in the armchair. Make your bedroom a comfortable place with curtains to keep the light out, an appropriate amount of blankets, and no noise or distractions. Try to go to bed and get up around the same time each and every day. Have a routine before you go to bed. A cup of tea, a few stretches, a few moments of meditation, a warm bath, and quiet music are all great ways to find relaxation. William James once said, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." And now that we have the basic building blocks of a stress-reduced lifestyle, let's talk about how we deal with stress. We've heard the saying, a leopard can't change its spots, but we'd like to disagree. When dealing with stress, there are often many ways in which you can change your approach or the situation to make it less stressful. As we have mentioned, your first option when dealing with stress is to alter the situation or your approach to it. You can alter your approach by thinking positively and having a positive attitude, improving specific skills that will help you manage the situation, or maybe just simply doing something different. Some examples. Let's say you always find going to the dentist stressful. This time, you decide to think positively about it and you say to yourself, well, if I get this over with, it will be done for the entire year. You also decide to bring along some relaxation music to help you better cope with the appointment. Here's another example. Let's say you find interacting with a particular coworker stressful because they tend to get very aggressive. You decide to take some communication and assertiveness training. And finally, here's a third example. Let's say traffic is consistently heavy on your morning commute, but this morning you choose to take a different route. Altering the situation is one of the most effective steps you can take towards managing your stress. By taking control of the situation and changing it to be less stressful, you're putting the power back in your hands. However, there are a few instances where altering the situation is not appropriate, including situations where maybe altering the situation is just simply not safe. For example, you find wearing your seatbelt claustrophobic, so you don't wear it. Also, altering the situation means transferring the stress to someone else. And quite frankly, that's just mean. There are also some appropriate and inappropriate actions to consider when altering a situation. Make sure that the benefit will be worth the effort in the long run. For example, you may want to take a different route to avoid traffic, but if that route will take you 40 minutes out of your way and cause even more stress, it may not be worth it. Make sure that your actions are helpful and kind to all involved. Transferring your stress onto someone else will not help you reduce your stress levels, but in fact will most likely compound it. In the previous sections of this webinar, we talked about taking power over the situation and changing it to make it less stressful. In this portion, let's explore another way to take power over stressful situations by avoiding them entirely. The second A stands for avoid. If drinking soda gives you indigestion and causes you stress or in some cases embarrassment at work, don't drink soda. This A is all about identifying the things that you needlessly stress about and how to remove those items from your life. Avoiding the situation is appropriate if repercussions are non-existent or extremely minor, or other people are not negatively impacted. Do not use this approach if avoiding will cause more stress in the long term than the short term. For example, avoiding the dentist or doctor's office. Avoiding will transfer stress to someone else, or avoiding will negatively impact your health and or safety. One of the most powerful tools for avoiding a stressful situation is the positive no. This tool enables you to say no in a way that maintains control over the situation, but does so in a constructive, assertive way. The positive no comes in several forms. Say no, followed by an honest explanation, such as, I'm uncomfortable doing that because. Say no and then briefly clarify your reasoning without finding or making excuses. This helps the listener to better understand your position. For example, I can't visit our neighbor right now because I promised Jenny I would take her to the playground. Say no and then give an alternative. For example, I don't have time today, but I could schedule it for tomorrow morning. Or learn to say no by repeating the request in your own words. For example, I understand that you want everyone to partake in the roast beef supper. I just don't eat beef. And finally, provide an assertive refusal and repeat it no matter what the other person says. This approach may be the most appropriate with aggressive or manipulative people and can be an effective strategy to control your emotions. For example, I understand how you feel, but I will not, or I understand how you feel, but I cannot, fill in the blank here. Remember, stay focused and don't become sidetracked into responding to other issues. And also remember, only use this approach in appropriate situations. Benjamin Franklin once said, "In this world, nothing can be said to be certain, except death and taxes." Our final A will help us cope with those things that cannot be changed. Our third A will help us deal with those things in life that just need to be done, even though they are sometimes unpleasant. Accepting the situation as it is and being as positive as possible about it is what this third A is all about. You can even use some of the principles from the first A to alter your attitude and make the situation a little less stressful. Some examples include going to the dentist or doctor, taking a turn presenting a team project instead of avoiding it or passing it off to another, or fixing the drainage pipe that elected to fall down during that last windstorm. Accepting the situation is appropriate when the task must be done eventually, or avoiding or altering it would cause undue stress to you or to another person. Accepting the situation is not appropriate when you're doing so just to please others, or avoiding or altering it would reduce your stress more than accepting it. And finally, you are accepting it because you feel you have no choice. Some people feel that accepting stressful situations and living through them makes them powerless, and this is simply not true. With this model, you are choosing to accept the situation rather than to alter or avoid it. Often having that power of choice can reduce stress greatly. Another tactic that can help you accept a situation is positive thinking. Remember when we discussed positive thinking in the first day? We used the example of taking a turn presenting a team project instead of passing it off to someone else. If you went ahead and presented the team project, you could gain many things from it, including respect from managers and your coworkers, self-respect, and maybe even more confidence and experience when speaking in public. So far, we have talked about how to create a stress-reducing lifestyle and how to reduce the impact of stressful situations. And despite all these preventative steps, stress will still happen. And when it does, it's important to have some tools to keep cool. Have you ever wished that you could just escape to a personal paradise when things get tough? You might imagine a tropical beach or a cozy campsite in the middle of the woods. Although escapism isn't a good long-term plan, having a mental place to escape to and regroup can be a useful tool. To create your personal sanctuary, start by thinking of your favorite place. It can be anywhere. A tropical island, a snowy mountain, even an exotic jungle. Wherever you feel most relaxed and safe. Now use your senses to capture all the elements of your sanctuary. What do you see? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? For example, you may be able to taste the salt in the air by the ocean. How does it make you feel? And what textures do you associate with this place? And what sounds will you hear? Feel free to create a physical sanctuary by writing down your observations or drawing a picture, or even tucking away a physical piece or object of it, like a rock or leaf, at your desk. Music can also be a great soother for the soul. Experts believe that the rhythm has a powerful effect on our bodies. And if you need to relax, try to listen to some calming music. Jazz, classical, and even nature sounds are great ways to transport you to another place and give you time to unwind and regroup after a stressful situation. Music with an upbeat tempo can help you get back into the groove and up your mood. If you're musically inclined, playing an instrument and singing along can relieve a ton of physical and mental tension. Even if you aren't musically inclined, much like myself, put on your favorite song and sing along. We guarantee it will make you feel better. Humor is another great stress reliever. It has been scientifically proven that a good belly laugh lowers blood pressure, reduces hormones created by stress, gives the immune system a boost, and creates a sense of well-being and happiness. Remember these points when using humor as stress relief. Reading a funny story or joke can be a great way to make you laugh. Keeping a humorous calendar in your cubicle is a good way to have a laugh at hand, particularly if it's a page a day type. Make sure it's appropriate and permitted in your office, of course. Seeing the humor in a stressful situation can be difficult, but it can also help you put things back into perspective. Try to imagine how the situation might appear from the outside or how you might see it down the road. Sharing a laugh with friends and family is always a good pick-me-up. When sharing jokes at work, just be sensitive to others and make sure that what you're sharing is appropriate. Physical relaxation techniques are extremely important in managing stress. We know that stress can cause many physical side effects, including muscle tension, headaches, high blood pressure, sleep disturbances, depression, obesity, digestive problems, and the list goes on and on and on. These effects increase the longer you are stressed and the higher your stress level. Having some ways to reduce the effects of stress on our bodies and mind is extremely important. Having some quick, easy stretches in your stress management toolbox will help you ease some of the physical tension caused by stress. In fact, these can and should be used several times a day to help prevent muscle tension and feelings of stress. Although these activities are not particularly strenuous, it's always best to check with a doctor before trying any physical activity, especially if you have health problems. Neck rolls, shoulder shrugs, side and lumbar stretches are but a few examples. An electronic handout with these exercises are available upon request. Deep breathing is an excellent relaxation tool that can be adapted for almost any situation. It also has some physical benefits, including reductions in blood pressure and muscle tension. Boost in metabolism and endorphins are natural painkillers, and certainly clearing of the mind. The basic technique is just like it sounds. Slow breathe in through your nose and then breathe out through your mouth. Try counting slowly as you do this. Each breath should take 10 to 20 seconds. You will be able to take longer breaths with practice. Again, an electronic handout is available with this particular exercise based on request. Believe it or not, intentionally creating tension is a relaxation technique, as long as you remember to relax afterwards. Try this. Bunch your hands up into fists as tight as possible. Now, slowly let your fingers roll out, feeling the tension evaporate from your hands and fingers. Let's try it again. This time, let's try it slower. For maximum effect, deep breathe while tensing and relaxing. You can try this with almost any part of your body. Here are some examples. You can scrunch your eyes up. You can curl your toes towards your shins. You can make a big frown and then a bigger smile. Tense your abs as tight as you can. You can even purposefully tense yourself from your toes all the way up to your head, and then relax from your head back down to your toes. Remember, the key is to go slowly and deep breathe if possible while tensing and relaxing. Meditation is the ancient art of moving your mind into a deeper state of awareness through relaxation. There are many forms of meditation, including religious and non-religious methods. Most forms of meditation involve sitting or lying in a comfortable position and tensing and relaxing certain groups of muscles while deep breathing. Other forms focus simply on breathing and emptying one's mind. We suggest doing some research on the internet or at the local library to find information on the various methods, as they are far too diverse to cover here. You can also consult a yoga studio or your local church or spiritual center. Our challenge to you: try meditating once a day for 30 days and see how it makes you feel. The tools that we have discussed so far will help you manage and reduce stress in your everyday life. However, as you encounter stressful events, your toolbox will have to grow as well. Let's explore how to prepare for major stressful events and what to do when those events happen. Maintaining a strong network of family and friends is also important. Keep in touch with your social support system, even in good times. Remember, you can use the tools we've discussed in this webinar to help others through stressful situations. In stressful times, strong bonds with family and friends will provide valuable support and resources. Take advantage of your support systems when times get tough, and be there for others when they need you as well. It's an investment that will repay you many, many times over. When a stressful event arises, or if you anticipate a stressful event, creating a plan can give you a much needed boost. With a plan, you can feel like you're at least a little bit on top of things and that you have some influence over the situation. Often people find that making lists and planning, even if it's for the short term, restores a bit of order back into one's life. Things to think about include: how can I maintain a healthy lifestyle with appropriate amounts of diet, sleep, and exercise during this time? What changes will I need to make to my lifestyle? How will my routine help me during this period, or how might my routine change? How can I use the AAA approach to handle this situation? And what relaxation techniques might be appropriate? And finally, what support systems can I rely on? Remember, stress is uniquely individual, and therefore your approach should be unique as well. If you simply can't find the time to exercise during this stressful period, for example, and can manage only a 10-minute walk per day, accept that as your new routine. This is not the time for you to put additional pressures on yourself. After the stressful event is over, try to return to your normal routine as soon as possible. This will help restore balance and order to your life and return your stress levels back to normal. And despite your best efforts, some situations are just too stressful to handle on your own. It is never a bad idea to ask for professional help with stress. Having an objective third party to talk to and get feedback from can be an important part of your support system. If you're wondering where to find help, start with us. Start with the Washington State Employee Assistance Program for private and confidential support. It makes sense that large events will cause large amounts of stress. However, several small stress-causing events that happen in close proximity can cause exponential amounts of stress. For example, imagine a month marked by these events: getting into a fender bender, making a significant mistake at work, having an argument with your spouse or partner, and coming down with a bad cold. You could probably cope with each individual event as it happened. Now, imagine if all these events happened in the same space of just a few days. Your stress level would be much higher, and you would probably find it far more difficult to cope. Think of the straw that broke the camel's back. Remember, different things are stressful to different people. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a mark of intelligence and strength and courage. So we have discussed many tools in this webinar, and we hope that our ideas have sparked some thoughts on how you might manage and reduce stress yourself. However, it's hard to know how to solve a problem if you don't know what the problem really is. Let's explore how to use a stress log system to identify, reduce, and manage stressors. A stress log can help you identify your major stressors, and it can help you identify trends in those stressors. Identifying the cause of stress can help you reduce the number and impact of stressors in your life, and it can help you manage the stress that does occur. A basic stress log is pictured on the next slide. Week 1, simply recording the events. Okay, when the first week is over, sit down with your journal and a blank piece of paper. First, take a moment to write down your overall stress level based on the 1 to 10 scale, with 10 being the highest amount of stress. Next, write down the events that caused or resulted in high stress levels. From this, identify your major stressors and create a plan for each one, and you might consider which A to use, for example, alter, avoid, or accept, that may be most appropriate in dealing with this situation. How could lifestyle changes, diet, sleep, exercise, routine, help alleviate this stress? What relaxation techniques could help me cope with this stress? What resources, such as support systems and community members or outside help, can help me reduce this stressor? What will my final plan look like? In order to be successful, your final stress management plan should set small, achievable goals that have a reasonable time frame for completion. If you can't think of a way to identify a particular stressor, try consulting with a friend or family member. And if you're really feeling stuck for a plan, set it aside and come back to it later on. Now it's time for the exciting part, putting your plan into action. Take one or two small parts of your stress management plan at a time and incorporate them into your life. Try each part for a week or two. If it works, make it a part of your lifestyle or stress management approach. And if it doesn't work, make a note of your efforts and move on. Continue incorporating new tools and habits into your lifestyle in this way. Okay, let's take a look at reviewing and evaluating our stress management plan. In the beginning, we recommend reviewing the plan weekly or bi-weekly, and some things to think about or ask yourself are things like, what was my stress level the last time I reviewed my plan? What is my stress level now? What has changed? What stressors have been added to my life? What stressors have been removed? How should I change my plan? What stress management techniques have been working for me and which ones haven't been working? And how should my plan change? What is my plan for the next week? And when will I next review my plan again? So once you've started to develop a good stress management strategy, you can reduce your review to once a month or less, whatever works best for you. If you find your stress level starting to rise, go back to week 1 and work through the process again. Former President Bill Clinton once said, "Sometimes when people are under stress, they hate to think, and it's the time when they most need to think." So take some time and think about how you might develop your own action plan. This will be a key tool to guide your progress in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. We wish you the best of luck on the rest of your travels. Should you wish to learn more about the Washington State Employee Assistance Program, or to seek out electronic copies of this presentation, including handouts and exercises, please contact us at your convenience. Again, thank you for attending today's webinar. Take care.